Welcome back to Digital Dispatch. If you find the world of cryptocurrency as fascinating as we do, you're in the right place.
Yeah, for sure.
Today, we're diving deep into Bitcoin's surge,
It's been a wild ride.
especially since the recent U.S. election.
Oh, absolutely.
Seems like Bitcoin is the talk of the town.
Well, everyone from seasoned investors to our next-door neighbors is buzzing about it, so.
Yeah, and you've sent us some really thought-provoking articles about it, so.
It definitely seems to have captured the public's imagination.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
Bitcoin. It recently shot past $90,000.
Yeah, the numbers are pretty astounding.
It's hovering around $89,294 right now, but
Wow.
still a massive leap.
Sure.
And one of the articles, it links this surge directly to Trump's win,
Interesting.
pointing to his perceived pro-crypto stance. And everyone's speculating about a connection.
Well, it's easy to draw a straight line between political events and market movements,
Right.
but the market is influenced by a complex web of factors.
So it's not as straightforward as it seems.
Exactly.
Okay, so a new administration's policies, they can definitely impact things.
Absolutely. Policies can have a real impact.
But how do we separate actual policy changes from just the overall market sentiment?
Right. Well, that's the key, isn't it? Separating the real policy changes from the overall market sentiment.
And that's often fueled by speculation and emotion.
Exactly. Speculation and emotion can really drive things.
So are we saying it's kind of a mix of both?
Likely.
Real policy implications, but also people just getting swept up in the excitement.
It's highly likely.
Like the Fed's recent interest rate cut,
Right.
completely separate from the election,
Yeah.
but it could definitely be contributing to Bitcoin's surge.
Absolutely. Lower interest rates make borrowing cheaper, potentially encouraging companies to invest in riskier assets.
Like Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the political buzz, a favorable economic environment, and then there's also the fact that major players are jumping into the game.
Yeah, that's a big one.
The article mentioned MicroStrategy and BlackRock.
And those are moves that really speak volumes.
So MicroStrategy's reported $42 billion Bitcoin acquisition plan,
That's a huge signal,
and BlackRock's involvement with Bitcoin ETFs.
attracting significant capital.
Yeah, these aren't just speculative bets.
No, they suggest a growing belief in Bitcoin's long-term potential.
From some of the most powerful players in finance.
Precisely.
It's almost like a domino effect.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Big players make a move, and suddenly everyone's scrambling to get a piece of the action
Definitely.
before it's too late.
Right.
The article mentioned 230,000 new Bitcoin addresses
Wow.
just after the election.
That brings the total to a mind-boggling 54.6 million.
If you think of Bitcoin addresses as unique identifiers for digital wallets,
Uh-huh.
this surge in new addresses definitely points to a growing adoption rate.
For sure.
It feels like a modern-day gold rush.
I can see that.
Everyone's afraid of missing out on potential riches
Yeah.
and just jumping on the bandwagon.
Makes sense.
Is that what's driving this frenzy? This fear of missing out? FOMO, as they call it.
Well, FOMO is definitely a powerful psychological force in investing.
Especially in a volatile market like cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
So you see others potentially making huge profits.
Right.
And it just triggers this urge to get in on the action.
Even if you don't fully understand what you're investing in.
It's easy to get caught up in the hype.
Oh, for sure.
But not everyone is convinced that Bitcoin is the future of finance,
True. There are voices of caution emerging.
highlighting the potential risks.
It's important to consider those as well.
And the article highlights some skepticism
Okay.
coming from Australia.
Interesting.
The Reserve Bank of Australia Governor Michelle Bullock, she had some strong words.
Oh.
She called Bitcoin a speculative asset, not a true currency. And she even questioned its actual purpose.
That's a pretty critical perspective.
It almost feels like a told you so moment.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's waiting to happen.
Right.
Bullock's perspective, though, it's worth considering.
I agree.
She may not see a role for Bitcoin in the Australian economy, but it reminds us that Bitcoin's value and purpose are still hotly debated.
Globally.
In her perspective, it aligns with another important concept,
Okay.
brought up in the article by ASIC chairman Joseph Longo,
And what's that?
the bigger fool theory.
Yeah, the bigger fool theory.
Break that down for us.
Sure. So the bigger fool theory suggests that people buy an asset like Bitcoin,
Okay.
hoping to sell it later to someone who's even more convinced of its value.
Even if that value is inflated or based on hype.
Exact.
rather than concrete fundamentals.
Precisely.
So it's like a game of musical chairs.
I like that analogy.
Everyone's trying to pass the Bitcoin hot potato before the
Yeah.
music stops.
And they're left holding an asset that's potentially worth much less.
Exactly.
That's why understanding the psychology of investing is so important.
Right.
Herd mentality and speculative bubbles, they can drive prices far beyond what's justified.
By the underlying fundamentals of an asset.
Exactly.
You've seen this happen before.
Oh, absolutely.
Think back to the dot-com bubble.
In the late 90s.
Or even the tulip mania centuries ago.
Classic examples.
Stark reminders that market exuberance can become detached from real value.
And when that happens,
Yeah.
the correction can be brutal.
So we've got this fascinating mix of optimism
Yeah.
and skepticism swirling around Bitcoin,
For sure.
fueled by political events, economic factors, and even basic human psychology.
It's a complex picture.
On one hand, people pouring money in, driven by the potential of this revolutionary technology and the fear of missing out.
Right.
On the other hand, you have respected figures warning about speculative bubbles.
And questioning Bitcoin's long-term viability.
It's a real tug-of-war.
Absolutely.
And it's got everyone asking, is Bitcoin the future of finance or a risky gamble?
That's the million-dollar question.
And if even the experts are divided,
Right.
how can we as individuals make sense of all of this?
And make informed decisions about our own investments.
That's what we're here to explore together.
I'm looking forward to it.
And if you find this conversation as fascinating as we do, don't forget to share this deep dive with your friends.
Yeah. Spread the knowledge.
Let's encourage everyone to think critically about this rapidly evolving world.
Absolutely. It's an important conversation to have. So navigating this world of cryptocurrency.
Especially with something as dynamic as Bitcoin.
Yeah, it requires a balanced approach.
Okay.
It's about informed optimism,
Right.
but also tempered with a healthy dose of skepticism.
And thorough research.
Absolutely. Can't forget the research.
So it's not just about jumping in because everyone else is.
No, not at all.
There needs to be some due diligence involved.
Definitely don't let the fear of missing out cloud your judgment.
Right.
Take the time to understand the underlying technology,
Okay.
explore the potential use cases for Bitcoin,
Uh-huh.
and honestly assess the risks involved.
Okay, so assess the risk.
And remember, a big one, never invest more than you can afford to lose.
It's easy to get swept up in the excitement
Oh, for sure.
of a potential financial revolution.
Absolutely.
But you're right,
A level-headed approach is key.
especially when you consider that some pretty prominent voices are sounding the alarm bells.
Right. Remember, any investment carries inherent risk.
Yeah.
And that's especially true in volatile markets like cryptocurrency.
So what goes up can come down.
Exactly.
And we've got to remember those historical bubbles we talked about earlier.
Like the dot-com bubble and tulip mania.
Right.
Don't let FOMO override common sense and a solid investment strategy.
So how do we find that balance then
Yeah,
between the potential for growth and the inherent risks?
that's the question, isn't it?
Is there a way to approach this rationally? How do you personally approach something like this?
Well, diversification is key.
Okay, diversification.
It's never wise to put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Spreading your investments across different asset classes can help mitigate risk.
So don't put all your money in Bitcoin.
Exactly. Spread it around.
Okay. Yeah.
And remember, investing is a long game.
Long game.
Don't get too caught up in the day-to-day or even week-to-week fluctuations.
Yeah, easy to get caught up in that.
Focus on your long-term financial goals.
Okay.
And don't panic if the market takes a dip.
So essentially, do your research, understand the risks, diversify your investments, and think long-term.
Got it.
Sounds like solid advice for any investment.
It really is, not just cryptocurrency.
And if you're feeling unsure or overwhelmed,
Yeah,
consult with a financial advisor
absolutely.
who understands your risk tolerance and your investment goals,
A trusted professional can be invaluable,
especially in a market as dynamic as cryptocurrency.
for sure.
And that brings us to another crucial point,
Okay,
staying informed.
so important.
The world of cryptocurrency is constantly evolving.
New developments, regulations, and trends emerging all the time.
So knowledge is power.
As
The more you understand, the better equipped you'll be to make informed decisions.
that align with your financial goals.
And don't be afraid to challenge your own assumptions.
Right.
Be open to different perspectives
Absolutely.
and keep learning.
Never stop learning.
So navigating the world of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency
Yeah,
requires a multifaceted approach.
I think that's a great way to put it.
Cautious optimism
Yes.
combined with thorough research, risk management, and a long-term perspective.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've explored the factors driving Bitcoin's surge examined the psychological forces at play,
Uh-huh.
and discussed strategies for navigating this exciting but sometimes confusing world.
It can be a lot to take in.
And it's clear that Bitcoin has sparked a global conversation.
Oh, definitely. It's a hot topic.
So let's keep the conversation going.
I'm all for that.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin's future? Are you bullish or bearish?
That's a tough one.
Share this deep dive with your friends, family, colleagues.
Spread the word.
Let's encourage everyone to engage in these important discussions.
Absolutely. The more perspectives, the better. Sharing different viewpoints helps us all make better decisions.
For sure, especially in a field as dynamic as this one.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that brings us to our final thought for this deep dive.
Okay.
We've explored both sides of the Bitcoin debate. But if even the experts are divided on its future,
Yeah.
how do we develop the skills to navigate this landscape?
It's a great question. It's not simply about understanding the technology or tracking market trends.
Right.
It's about having a framework
Uh-huh.
for evaluating information, assessing risk,
Yeah.
making judgments in the face of uncertainty,
Because let's face it, in this age of information overload where everyone has an opinion,
and a platform
right, the ability to think critically
to make informed decisions.
is more valuable than ever.
Couldn't agree more.
And that's what we aim to do here on Digital Dispatch.
That's-
Equip you with the knowledge and insights you need
To navigate this complex world.
of finance and technology.
For sure.
So stay curious, keep learning, and join us next time for another deep dive
We'll be exploring another fascinating topic.
and unpacking the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve.
Until then, happy investing.